Welcome back again, students, to another video. So after we've discussed about the introduction of quadratic equations as well as the methods in solving quadratic equations, for this particular week, we will be studying about the nature of roots of a quadratic equation using discriminant. For our lesson objective, characterize the roots of a quadratic equation using discriminant. So before we proceed to our discussion, let's have short activity. So for a short activity number 1, determine which of the following numbers is real or not. So by the way, when can we say that a number is real or not? Okay, so a real number is any positive or negative number. This includes all integers and all rational and irrational numbers. So when we say integers, this includes negative, positive, and 0. Okay. When we say rational, rational numbers are numbers that can be expressed in the form of a over b. Okay. Like fractions. Okay. What about irrational numbers? Irrational numbers are numbers that may be expressed by an infinite decimal representation. So among these given numbers, or which of the following is a real number? Okay, which is not? Okay, for example, 19. So 19. Can we classify 19 as a real number? Yes, because we can express 19 in the form of a over b. Like for example, 19 over 1. Okay. So 19 is a real number. Next, negative 2 over 9. Okay. So in here, negative 2 will serve as A and then 9 will serve as B. Therefore, negative 2 over 9 is also a real number. So lagyan natin ng check para hindi kayo malito. So 19, tama. Negative 2 over 9, correct. Next, the square root of negative 26. Is it real or not? The answer is not. Basically because we cannot extract the square root of a negative number. What about 14.3? Yes, this is a real number. Okay, so decimal numbers are real numbers. And then last one, the square root of 121. Is this real or not? Yes, because the square root of 121 is 11. And then 121 is a perfect square. So, based from this given, makikita nyo na yung square root of negative 26 lang ang hindi real number. Okay, so na-explain ko naman kung bakit. Let's have short activity number 2. Write the following quadratic equations in standard form and identify the value of a, b, and c. So, reminder, the standard form of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where ax squared is the quadratic term, bx is the linear term, and c is the constant term. Now, let's have number 1. X squared minus 9x is equal to 16. By the way, we can only identify the value of a, b, and c if the given equation is written in standard form. So, ang gagawin natin dito, 16, kailangan natin siyang mailipat sa left side. So, para ang right side natin is equal to 0 lang. Okay, so ang gagawin natin, x squared minus 9x, and then, itong 16 na to, magma-minus tayo or magsusubtract tayo ng 16 to both sides. So, that is minus 16 is equal to 16 minus 16. Now, rewrite x squared minus 9x minus 16 is equal to, so 16 minus 16, that is 0. Now, x squared minus 9x minus 16 is equal to 0 is written in standard form. So, therefore, we can now identify the value of a, b, and c. So, yung x squared natin, ang numerical coefficient niya ay 1 lang. So, a is equal to 1. And then, our linear term b is equal to negative 9. And then, yung ating c, the constant term, is negative 16. Next, 3 times the quantity of x squared plus 3x minus 5 is equal to 0. So, dito naman sa given natin, number 2, kailangan natin ma-distribute yung term or number na nasa labas ng parenthesis dun sa mga terms na nasa loob ng parenthesis. That will become 3 times x squared, 3 times 3x. Okay, so let's do it. 3 times x squared, that is 3x squared. 3 times 3x, that is 9x. And then minus 5 is equal to 0. So, ito yung standard form ng equation natin ngayon. Now, what is a? So, a is equal to the numerical coefficient, of course, of x squared. That is 3. b is equal to 9. And then c, our constant term, that is negative 5. Let's solve the last equation. The quantity of 5x plus 2 times the quantity of 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. So dito, kailangan lang nating i-multiply yung dalawang expression na nasa loob ng mga parentheses. So gagamit tayo dito ng FOIL method. So FOIL method, F stands for first. So yung dalawang first term, 5x times 2x, that is 10x squared. Next, outer terms, 5x times negative 5, that's negative 25x. Next, inner terms, 2 and 2x. 2 times 2x, that is 4x. Last terms, 2 times negative 5, that is negative 10. Now, we combine like terms. As you can see, yung dalawang middle terms natin, yung nasa gitna, negative 25x and 4x, are like terms. So, applying the rule in addition of integers, so unlike sign sila, ang gagawin natin, follow the sign of the bigger value and then we subtract. 25 minus 4, that is 21, and then we follow the sign of the bigger value nga, that is negative. So, our final answer is 10x squared minus 21x minus 10 is equal to 0. Now, what is a? A is 10, the numerical coefficient of x squared. B is equal to negative 21. And then C is negative 10. Okay. Let's have discriminant. The value of the expression b squared minus 4ac is called the discriminant of a quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. This value can be used to describe the nature of the roots of a quadratic equation. So, kung matatandaan yung first lesson natin, week 1, yung solving quadratic equation in different methods. So, doon, kinuha natin yung mga roots ng quadratic equation. So, for discriminant, ang gagawin naman natin dito is, i-describe natin yung mga makukuhang roots. So, kung ano yung nature niya. So, ito yung mga kondisyon. So, the nature of the roots of a quadratic equation, for the first condition, if the value of b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, then the roots are real and equal. Okay. So, may mga quadratic equation kasi tayo na kapag kinuha natin yung roots, parehong-pareho. So, ang ibig sabihin lang nun, kapag in-apply natin yung discriminant, makakakuha tayo ng 0 na sagot. So, ibig sabihin nun, yung roots ay real at equal. Let's have example number 1. X squared plus 12x plus 36 is equal to 0. So, bago natin apply ang discriminant, make sure na identify natin yung values ng a, b, and c. So, hindi natin ma-identify yung value ng a, b, and c unless yung ating equation ay nakasulat sa standard form na ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Now, the value of a, b, and c, so, A is 1, and then B is 12, C is 36. So, saan nyo po nakuha yung 1, 12, and 36 na yan? Dito po sa mga numerical coefficient ng ating equation. Now, we apply B squared minus 4AC. So, B, that is 12, squared, minus 4, times the value of A, 1, and then C, 36. Next, 12 squared, that is 12 times 12, 144, minus 4 times 1 times 36, that is 144. So, 144 minus 144, that is 0. As you can see, nakakuha tayo ng sagot na 0. So, isa lang ibig sabihin yan. Kapag kinuha nating roots ng given equation, real and equal. Parehong-pareho. Okay. So, using quadratic formula, so kukunin natin yung mga roots ng given equation. Again, yung value ng A natin, 1, B is 12, and then C is 36. So, the formula is x is equal to negative b, positive, negative, the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So, substitute lang natin yung mga values ng a, b, c sa formula. Negative b, so magiging negative 12, plus minus the square root of b, that is 12 squared minus 4 times 1 times 36. Okay, is all over 2 times 1. Okay, so matatandaan nyo kanina may value na tayo ng b squared minus 4ac, and that is 0. Okay, so pwede naman natin siyang i-substitute dito, kaya lang pinapakita ko sa inyo kung ano yung process ng quadratic formula. Okay, so that is negative 12, positive negative, the square root of 12 squared, that is 144, minus 144, and then all over 2. So, rewrite natin siya dito, is equal to negative 12 plus negative the square root of 0 all over 2. Okay, so the square root of 0 is 0. So, magiging ganito na lang siya, negative 12 over 2. So, the value of x sub 1 is equal to the value of x sub 2, which is negative 12 over 2, negative 6. So, as you can see, yung x sub 1 natin and then x sub 2 natin, parehong may value na negative 6. It's because yung ating discriminant ay 0. Next, let's have the second example. 4x squared minus 20x plus 25 is equal to 0. Again, we identify the values of a, b, and c. So, a is 4, b is negative 20, and c is equal to 25. So, b squared minus 4ac is equal to the value of b, that is negative 20, square minus 4 times the value of a, 4, and then times the value of c, 25. Now, negative 20 raised to 2, that is 400, minus 4 times 4, that is 16, times 25, 400. Okay, now 400 minus 400 is equal to 0. Again, nakakuha tayo ng discriminant na value ay 0. So, para ma-verify natin kung tama ba na yung ating mga roots ay real and equal, so, apply natin yung quadratic formula. So, again, rewrite natin yung given equation, 4x squared minus 20x plus 25 is equal to 0. So, now, what is a? Again, 4. B is equal to negative 20, and then c is equal to 25. Now, the quadratic formula, x is equal to negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay. So, since kanina meron na tayong value na b squared minus 4ac na 0, so pwede na nating i-direkta yung pagsasubstitute. So, what is negative b? So, negative, tapos yung value pa ng b is negative. So, negative 20 plus 0. And then, over 2 times the value of a, 4. Then, negative times negative 20, that is positive 20. All over 2 times 4, that is 8. Now, we can simplify 20 over 8. So, dito natin isulat. X is equal to 20 over 8. So, ano ang common factor ng 20 tsaka 8? That is 4. So, 20 divided by 4, that is 5. And then 8 divided by 4, that is 2. So, x sub 1 is equal to x sub 2 is equal to 5 over 2. So again, tama na naman po yung ating claim na yung roots ng ating quadratic equation ay real and equal, which is 5/2. So for the next condition, if the value of b squared minus 4ac is positive and perfect square, then the roots are rational number and unequal. Okay. So again, kapag sinabi nating perfect square, ito yung pwede nating kunin yung square root ng isang number na walang decimal na kasama. Like for example, the square root of 25, that is 5, the square root of 100, 10, so and so on. And then kapag ganun daw na positive yung nakuha nating discriminant and perfect square, yung roots natin ay rational number and unequal. Again, when we say rational number, these are numbers that can be expressed in the form of A over B. So ako, tinuturo ko lang dati pag rational number na yan. Kapag pwede nating gawin or express yung number in the form of fraction, so rational number yon. And then, unequal. So, hindi pareho yung roots. Unlike yung unang condition natin, real na sila, and then at the same time, equal pa. So let's have example number 1. X squared minus 2x minus 48 is equal to 0. So the value of A is 1, B is equal to negative 2, and then C is equal to negative 48. So applying B squared minus 4AC is equal to the value of B, that is negative 2, squared minus 4 times the value of A, 1, and then the value of C, negative 48. Negative 2 squared, that is positive 4, and then negative 4 times 1, that is negative 4, times negative 48, that is 192. Now, we add 4 and 192, that is 196. So, for the information of everyone, so 196 is a perfect square. It's because the square root of 196 is 14. Okay. So, ayan. Makikita natin na positive yung number at the same time, perfect square siya. So, let's check kung tama ba siya na yung ating mga roots o yung nature ng ating roots ay rational number and unequal. So, we apply again quadratic formula. So, rewrite the given equation x squared minus 2x minus 48 is equal to 0. So, the value of A, 1, B, negative 2, and then C is equal to negative 48. And then the formula for quadratic equation, negative B, positive negative, the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. So our negative, the value of B is negative, tapos times negative 2, plus minus, so the value of b squared minus 4ac, that is 196, all over 2 times a, 1. Now, negative 1 times negative 2, that is positive 2. So, yung number na nasa labas ng parenthesis na may negative, so usually, denote natin siya as negative 1. Okay. So, and then plus minus the square root of 196, sabi ko nga kanina, that is 14. All over 2 times 1, 2. So, rewrite natin dito sa taas. Una muna, x sub 1 muna, 2 plus 14 all over 2, that is 2 plus 14, 16, over 2. So, x sub 1 is equal to 8. Now, for x sub 2, 2 minus 14 all over 2. So, 2 minus 14, that is negative 12 over 2. So, the value of x sub 2 is negative 6. So, as you can see, yung ating mga roots, rational sila at the same time unequal. Iba ang 8 sa negative 6. So, sulat natin dito yung mga roots. X sub 1 is 8 and then x sub 2 is equal to negative 6. Let's have example number 2. 3x squared plus 5x minus 12 is equal to 0. So let's identify the value of A, B, and C. A is 3, B is 5, and then C is negative 12. So, and then we apply the discriminant formula B squared minus 4AC is equal to the value of B, that is 5, squared minus 4 times A, 3, and then C, negative 12. Next, 5 squared, that is 25, and then negative 4 times 3, that is negative 12, times negative 12, that is positive 144. So 25 plus 144 is 169. Again, 169 is a perfect square. So the square root of this number is 13. So using quadratic formula, so check natin, o kunin natin yung mga roots. Again, we rewrite the given equation. And then we identify the value of A, B, and C. Then, para mas mabilis tayo, yung B squared minus 4AC, lagay na rin natin, which is 169. So, quadratic formula is x is equal to negative b, positive negative, the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Negative b, so negative 5, positive negative, the square root of 169 all over 2 times a, that is 3, negative 5 plus minus the square root of 169, that is 13, all over 2 times 3, 6. Now, the value of x of 1, negative 5 plus 13 all over 6. Negative 5 plus 13, unlike signs sila, so we subtract and then follow the sign of the bigger value. The answer is 8 over 6. And then we simplify 8 over 6. That is 4 over 3. So make sure na yung mga fractions sinisimplify natin if possible. If not, yun na yung ano nila, simplified form. And then x sub 2 is equal to negative 5 minus 13 all over 6. Negative 5 minus 13, that is negative 18 over 6. And then that is negative 3. So x sub 2 is negative 3. And then x sub 1 is 4 over 3. So again, rewrite natin dito banda. X sub 1 is equal to 4 over 3. And then x sub 2 is equal to negative 3. So for our third condition, if the value of b squared minus 4ac is positive but not perfect square, then the roots are irrational and unequal. So, positive pa rin naman yung discriminant, however, hindi na perfect square. Give an example of a number that is not a perfect square. 2. So, the square root of 2, yun na yun. So, square root of 2 is irrational number. And then, unequal. So, of course, not equal. Hindi sila pareho. So, example number 1, x squared plus 7x plus 11 is equal to 0. So, a is equal to 1, b is equal to 7, and then c is equal to 11. Next, applying discriminant b squared minus 4ac is equal to the value of b, 7 squared, minus 4 times a, 1, and then value of c, 11. Next, 7 squared, that is 49, minus 4 times 1, 4, times 11, 44. Then we subtract 49 minus 44, that is 5. So our discriminant is positive, which is 5, but 5 is not a perfect square. Next, to check using quadratic formula, so x squared plus 7x plus 11 is equal to 0. So a is equal to 1, b is equal to 7, c equals to 11, and then b squared minus 4ac is equal to 5. Now, we apply quadratic formula. X is equal to negative b, positive negative, the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Next, negative b, that is negative 7 plus minus the square root of, yung value natin na b squared minus 4ac, that is 5, and then all over 2 times the value of a, 1. So the value of x sub 1 is equal to negative 7 plus the square root of 5 all over 2. Okay. Yung x sub 2 naman, negative 7 minus the square root of 5 all over 2. As you can see, yung ating roots ay irrational and unequal. For example number 2, 2x squared minus 17x plus 18 is equal to 0. So the value of a is 2, b is negative 17, and then c is equal to 18. Okay, so again, b squared minus 4ac is equal to the value of b is negative 17 squared minus 4 times a, that is 2, and then c, 18. So as you can see, paulit-ulit lang naman yung process natin sa pagkuha ng discriminant. Okay? So, again, negative 17, i-square natin. Tandaan nyo, kapag ang negative number or negative integer, in-square natin, magiging positive yung sign ng product. Okay. So, that is 289. Then, minus 4 times 2, 8. And then, times 18, that is 144. And then, we subtract 289 minus 144, that is 145. Again, yung nakuha nating discriminant is positive, however, this is not a perfect square. So, to check, we rewrite the given equation and then identify the values of a, b, and c. And then, at the same time, yung discriminant natin, ang sagot ay 145. And then, we apply quadratic formula. Okay, next, we substitute negative plus negative 17, positive, negative, the square root of 145 all over 2 times 2. Okay. Next, this will become positive 17 plus minus the square root of 145. So again, we cannot extract the square root of 145. So wala din kasi siyang factor na perfect square. Pero kung meron siyang factor na perfect square, so pwede nating i-factor. But hindi rin matatanggal yung radical. Okay? So matatanggal lang ang radical kapag perfect square. And then all over 4. So the value of x sub 1 is 17 plus the square root of 145 all over 4. And then our x sub 2, 17 minus the square root of 145 all over 4. Again, our roots are irrational and unequal. So for the last condition, if the value of b squared minus 4ac is negative, then it has no real roots. So for example, nakakuha ka ng sagot na negative 25. So hindi mo naman po pwedeng extract ang square root ng negative 25. Kung positive 25, pwede. Pero kung square root of negative 25, hindi natin pwedeng i-extract ang negative na number or na negative integer. So let's have example. X squared plus 4x plus 15 is equal to 0. So a is equal to 1, b is equal to 4, c equals to 15. So b squared minus 4ac is equal to the value of b, that is 4 squared minus 4 times the value of a, 1 times the value of c, 15. 4 squared, that is 16, minus 4 times 1, 4 times 15, that is 60. Now, 16 minus 60, as you can see, yung ating minuend, mas konti siya dun sa ating subtrahend. So, yung magiging sagot natin dito, negative 44. So, as you can see, yung ating naging difference is negative 44. Again, yung ating equation ay no real roots. So, to check, x squared plus 4x plus 15 is equal to 0. So, A is equal to 1, B is equal to 4, then C is equal to 15. So, dun pa lang kasi sa discriminant niya, malalaman mo na agad kung ano yung nature ng roots niya kasi eh. Kaya nga may discriminant tayo. So, kahit i-apply natin yung quadratic formula to check yung mga roots niya, wala ka rin namang makukuhang real roots. So, B squared minus 4AC. Sagot natin kanina is negative 44. Okay. Applying the quadratic formula, x is equal to negative b, positive negative, the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So, negative b, negative 4, positive negative, the value of b squared minus 4ac, that is the square root of negative 44, all over 2 times 1. Next, negative 4, positive negative, the square root of negative 44, all over 2. So, we cannot extract negative 44. Tandaan nyo po yan. Hindi po natin pwedeng i-extract ang mga negative. So, our x sub 1, that is negative 4 plus the square root of negative 44 all over 2. So, yan lang po yung sagot. So, hindi po natin pwedeng i-simplify, extract ang square root. X sub 2, that is negative 4 minus the square root of negative 44 all over 2. So, for our last example, 3x squared minus 5x plus 9 is equal to 0. So, A, 3, B is negative 5, and then C is equal to 9. And then, applying the discriminant formula, b squared minus 4ac. So, b squared, negative 5 squared minus 4, the value of a, 3, and then the value of c, 9. Negative 5 squared, that is 25, minus 4 times 3, 12, times 9, that is 108. Now, 25 minus 108, that is negative 83. Again, nakakuha tayo ng negative na sagot. Ibig sabihin, ang ating equation na 3x squared minus 5x plus 9 is equal to 0 has no real roots. To check, ayan, rewrite the given equation, and then value of a is 3, b is negative 5, c is equal to 9, and then the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac, that is negative 83. And then we apply quadratic formula, negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So, for example, ang instruction lang ng activity is to describe the nature of the roots of the quadratic equation. No need to get the roots of the given equation. So, ang gagawin mo lang dun is i-apply lang yung discriminant formula. So, hanggang dun lang. So, kasi dito sa aking video, pinapakita ko talaga sa inyo na no real roots nga yung equation. So, negative b, that is magiging positive 5. Okay, kasi negative, and then may negative yung value ng b natin, plus minus the square root of negative 83. Okay, all over 2 times 3. 5 plus minus the square root of negative 83 all over 6. So, our x sub 1, 5 plus the square root of negative 83 all over 6. And then x sub 2, 5 minus the square root of negative 83 all over 6. So, after we've discussed the nature of the roots of a quadratic equation, next lesson will be Describe the relationship between the coefficients and the roots of a quadratic equation. So sana may natutunan kayo dito sa lesson natin regarding the nature of the roots of quadratic equation. Yun lang, maraming salamat.